What time is it?
What time is it?
The moment you've all been waiting for.
That's right, everybody. It's time. It's time we get to work on this Pontiac that I bought for Poverty Tour. It's in pretty good shape for the year, being 52 years old. It's a 1974. It's got a 350 two-barrel on it. I haven't gone through the whole thing. I've just kind of glanced over. I've had it for a couple weeks and I haven't touched it. It's very hard to start when it's cold. It's got lots of surface rust on it, but I think with some Comet and a Scotch-Brite, we can get a lot of that off. I know we do have a door hinge issue on this door. It drops pretty good. The interior is fairly decent with the exception of a few cracks. Headliner's still intact, which is a bonus. Get underneath here and get you see the beast, the heartbeat of it. I never had a carburetor on it, so that's not grand. But anyway, you can see the top of the carburetor here is broke, and I just had poured gas in it. I'm not sure if our fuel pump's bad because we don't have much fuel in our fuel filter. I just put 5 gallons of gas in it, but it's leaking at the base pretty bad. So, but we got a fix for that. So let's get it in the garage, start working on it, and see what else we can find wrong. Looks like we got a little seepage around the valve covers. It appears we have a pretty wet power steering hose. I'm not sure if it's maybe coming out of the box. Let's see what we got in there. There's nothing, absolutely nothing in there. So we've got a power steering issue. I noticed that when I pulled it in, there was no power steering. Brake booster looks fairly new. So just need some tidying up, some cleaning up, and a little TLC. Looks like we definitely need to get some valve cover gaskets. So, well, this is a list we've got so far that I know we have to do to the Pontiac to get it ready for Poverty Tour. And the list grows as we dig further into the car. So you can see we got change the intake, replace the carb. We have a power steering leak. I don't know where that's at just yet. The valve covers leak. We've got a new fuel pump to put on it. We get around to it. We're going to fix the floorboard. If not, we're going to go as is. Replace the thermostat, door hinges. We will probably do because the door doesn't shut very well. We'll get that fixed. Door and trunk locks, maybe, maybe not. Depends on if we have time. Brakes, definitely. Wheel bearings, definitely. We have a few bare wires showing under the engine compartment. We took off the AC because it wasn't charged. We'll have to check, see if the pump actually functions. And if it does, we'll try to get it back operational. Spark plugs, a given. Wiper blades, a given. We got to mount the CB. We know that's a mandatory. Check the lights, and we will be adding more to this list as we get her done. Okay, one of the first things we're going to do is change the intake and carburetor. So we've got to drain the radiator down low enough so we don't make a mess. I've got it draining now and get some parts ordered for it. So I'll bring you back when the parts come in. All right, it's been a few days. Parts have arrived. Let's see what we got to put on there. This is what we're going back with, guys. It's right here. A 7156 directly from Edelbrock. It was a little pricey, but it was something that had to be done. And one other thing that we got. A brand new 1906 Edelbrock ABS2 carburetor. Hopefully that will make this thing run a little bit better. Won't be more powerful, but it won't spit and sputter, hopefully. And through the compliments of Amazon, a new throttle linkage kit. So anyway, guys, let me get that off, the old one off. I'll bring you back over there and we'll start unboxing and getting the new one stuff getting ready to put on. We're still plugging away at it, guys. Finally got that carburetor off. None of the bolts in it were tight. No wonder it was leaking like a sieve. It's probably why it was also running rough. Had a vacuum leak. Several vacuum leaks, actually. A lot of old lines. A lot of the lines we're going to replace. I checked the air conditioning. There was no Freon in it. So I went ahead and took it off for now. So I could get in there and get the plugs and everything changed out and make it a little easier. It didn't have a belt on it anyway, so I got a feeling the compressor's probably shot on it anyway. So we'll keep plugging away at it, guys. We finally got it. Not without a little fight, but we got it. That windage tray was full of acorns and all kinds of stuff. They've been having a heyday in there. There's the old one. So we're going to have to get a few extra parts that we didn't order. I've worked on a lot of Chevys in my life, but this is the first time I've ever worked on a Pontiac engine. And I'm going to tell you, they are a different breed. I was going to do the simple process of changing the PCV valve, which they have in the push rod cover. I call it a valley pan. But if you look up the parts for the gasket for a valley pan, you're not going to find it. So anyway, I managed to get the valve out with a lot of force, and then I started trying to get that out, and this rubber is hard as rock. Well, guess what? In the process, all the lips on the top of it came off, as you can see. Focus. And it fell down inside of it. I really hadn't planned on taking that off, and because I figured it fell down into the lifters, which it doesn't. Well, they probably could have, I guess, if it had broken little pieces. But, so I pulled that off. It's not a big deal. It's only 2 bolts, but it was $20 just for the gasket. And we have to get a new grommet and valve. Not a big deal. Valve covers weren't too bad, except for this one right back here. You had to use a combination of all kinds of BS to get that last bolt out. After struggling with it for about 30 minutes, I finally managed to get it out. So we'll take this cover and our grimy valve covers, and we're going to use a little Dollar General oven cleaner and see what it does. After over an hour of cleaning the valley pan and the valve covers, I believe I've got the majority of the dirt and grease off of it. Remember me saying we were going to use the Dollar General oven cleaner? It says heavy duty, but it's not. Don't waste your time or money. It's $4.50 a can and it didn't hardly do anything. So I went ahead and grabbed my bottle of Super Clean and started hosing it down with that. This is not a paid promotion farm. I actually won this bottle in a contest that a fellow YouTuber was putting on. I'll put his name in the description. Go check out his channel. But these are going to dry out overnight, and then tomorrow we are going to take our Pontiac engine blue enamel and make this engine pretty again. I will bring you back once we get that done. All the valve covers and valley pans had time to cure real well. We've got the heads cleaned up to accept the intake. So I think it's time to do it. I'm taking and put in a plug that we're not going to use here because the radiator hose are going to be over it. We've got a vacuum port on the back for the power brakes. And I think it's time to set it in there. Well, it looks a little different than it did the last time I showed you. We had both valve cover gaskets on, but the intake wasn't on. Well, a few things have happened since then. First off, the gaskets for the intake were the wrong ones. So after calling Felpro and explaining the situation, and the 5-minute wait turned into a 40-minute wait to talk to a person. But anyway, they gave me the correct part number and I had to order them. So we were delayed another day. So I got it ready to put on, and the intake would not go on because I was stupid and put both valve covers on. So I would say that I had the valve cover sealed pretty good, because when I pulled it off, so did the gasket, and it tore. So again, I had to buy more valve cover gaskets. And again, there was another day delay. We got the intake secured. And I'm going to say 99.9% sure that that will work. So our next step is to get that other valve cover back on and sealed up. And then we'll come back and try to get the linkage. We'll get the carburetor on, and then we'll get the linkage. And then we'll start working on the vacuum lines, which most of them are all dry rotted. I did buy new lines. Hopefully I got enough and the right size. Let's see if we can get this valve cover on. Get everything tucked up out of the way. We don't need to seal any wires underneath it. Now I did have to, they had this valve cover all distorted from cranking it down so tight. And I had to take a hammer and actually gently tap the holes so they weren't beveled out anymore. You definitely don't want to be Hercules tightening valve covers down. You will regret it. My suggestion when you do valve covers, use 1/4 inch drive. It's surprising how much torque you will get on them with the 3/8. All right. And we have a valve cover installed. And if you have any luck like I do, if you're working around the hull of an engine, I'm like a bull in a china closet. And the last thing you want to do is drop a nut or a bolt or anything else down the intake. And that could be catastrophic, especially if you don't see it. All right, these studs have a little hex head on top of them so you can screw them down in it without using vice grips. They're probably metric, but I've got a 7/32 and it seems to work just fine. Get them started by hand and then we will go from there. And this is per Edelbrock because I looked it up. For the Performer and the 1906 carburetor that we are putting on, to said to use the innermost holes. Now the outer holes are used for more of the spread bore application. It's a first Performer manifold I've ever put on a car. Really never had a reason to before, nor had the money to. But so, this is a learning process for me, and maybe if you guys pay attention, you'll either learn something or tell me what I'm doing wrong. Because again, I don't claim to be a mechanic, and I'll tell you that in every one of my videos. I'm a hack, and I muddle my way through most projects. And again, don't be Hercules. This is aluminum. All right, that has got that. Okay. Hopefully the only thing we'll drop in there is the carburetor. But sure as a world, if I wouldn't have put that on there, one of them studs would have fell in. Oop, I about messed up there. I just about put the carburetor on without the gasket. That wouldn't have been good. And I'm sure I'd had one heck of a vacuum leak. All right, well, that's looking better already. What do you guys think? Well, I got full disclosure here. I had to phone a friend a few times on some of this stuff. There was a solenoid that I can't recall the name of it. I'm wanting to say it was like a transmission solenoid, something or another that had to do with your vacuum advance. I'll look it up again, because I ain't gonna tell you like a lot of these people do that know-it-all channels, that because I don't know. I had to Google it and look it up. But anyway, I knew it was something to do with the vacuum advance, and but I wanted to delete it. I'm guessing it also has something to do with emissions, but I'm not a big fan of emissions. But I guess they're there for a reason. But anyway, so I called old Thumper. He's my resident Pontiac guy. And he is a wealth of information when you have Pontiac questions. And I definitely appreciate him. I think it's probably the third time I've called him. And he's always seemed to be happy to help. And that's a good thing. We need pity on some of us old folk. You know, this is the type of guy that he don't have to look stuff up. He's worked on enough Pontiacs in his life that it's just second knowledge, you know, common knowledge to him. So, but anyway, yes, he said I could delete it, and then he said that vacuum advance has to be on a, I believe he called it a timed vacuum. Means it can't be off direct full manifold vacuum. So I'm like, oh great. Where do I find this at? Well, again, lack of my knowledge. And Googling, I Googled it. And then I went over and looked at the carburetor and the schematics on the carburetor. This port here on the carburetor is for the timed or non-idle, I'll probably say it wrong, non-idling vacuum. It only has vacuum under acceleration. Matter of fact, somebody said, you know, this is full vacuum and this is lower than that is. So anyway, long story short, that's where the vacuum advance will go. I didn't know there was such a thing, a difference, but yeah, I figured vacuum was vacuum, and I guess all vacuum is not created equal. I actually got a short, stubby wrench to finish the tightening. Cast aluminum, and I'm guessing some type of aluminum alloy. You break these, you're pretty much screwed. Because then you've pissed away a bunch of money. And as tight as I am, I don't like doing that. Okay. I got the wrench on there, and I can't get it off. What do you think of that? There we go. All right. And I did find out we are going to have a clearance issue. So I did lots of research. As you notice, the Performer intake, it sticks up a lot further than a stock one does. And there's not a whole lot of room in here to get things. So, anyway, we're going to get the linkage and stuff hooked up. This is going to be tedious and time consuming, so we're going to do this off camera, and I'll bring you back after this is done. Been a few days later, and we've got the Pontiac moved from its old parking spot, as you can tell from it leaving its mark. We got the van out and the Pontiac on the lift now. Made a few small changes. Got her all buttoned up again. We've got to route a few vacuum lines still. And I'm having some issues getting the linkage fixed over from the 2-barrel to the 4-barrel. And the different intake is causing a few issues, but I'll get it. May take a little more ciphering. The wiring was an absolute mess. As you can see, we still have a couple of bare wires here and there, but I redid this whole section and there was all kinds of splices. I went back and soldered what I could. But we currently have the fuel pump off. I'm getting ready to clean that up, put that back on. And then once we have that on, we can start putting accessory pulleys back on. We are going to replace the gas line as we get to it. So that's where we're at right now. I'll get it done and we'll be back. You remember when I said earlier in the video that I wanted to change all the hoses, radiator hoses, heater hoses, vacuum lines? We were doing pretty good until we run into the heater hoses. We got the top one. It was a little bit of a struggle. Wedged up in there by the hood hinge, but we got it. And then we started looking for the bottom heater hose. Could not be seen. And I vaguely remember on the Chevrolet, you had to drop the inner fender to access on some models. Well, I guess some of the Chevrolet engineers bled off into Pontiac. And in their great wisdom, you had to do the same to access the lower heater core hose. So we've got the new one on, and the old one had some rubbing on it. So I took one of the old hoses, slid it down the middle, and made a rub barrier between that and a good hose with a couple zip ties. Also, I want to point out, this is the only way you can access a blower motor. And I believe we do have some blower motor issues, so we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Or you could say there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you don't believe me, go to any Chinese restaurant and they'll tell you how to. All right, everybody, it's been a few days. Actually, it's been about a week. I've went about as far as I could go at the time, and I had to outsource some stuff that I didn't have the equipment to do, nor I was running out of time. But we got new tires on it. We've got the front end alignment. A couple of the major leaks that were leaking. But we're supposed to get this back in a couple days. I've got one more thing left to do to it. And then we'll be back in our shop doing the finishes touches before the poverty tour. So if you watched this far, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. And consider liking and subscribing. And we'll see you next time on the Lone Wrench Garage.